Hey DC3 Pro, my name is Timothy, and I'm going to be walking you through a brief video training of our lighting director position. If this is your first time watching, welcome and thank you for being part of the DC3 Pro team. If you're looking for a specific part of the video, scroll down to the descriptions below for a specific part, whether that's troubleshooting, adding a cue, or putting it into the song list. During the service, your main job is to list the cues from Service Director. So if you're not sure how to go through or how to initiate, let's say like this one, how freedom has three things that are green and you have no idea what that is. It just means it's going by itself. And so your Service Director knows, and then what he'll do is he'll cue you in. So pay attention for your Service Director to cue you in for certain songs. Typically, the programmer will have notes all over here onto the side. And so what will happen is that he or she will either have verses or choruses, just some words that'll tell you when to play it. Or they'll have specific things such as skip this, or it turns on here and turns off there, or hey, this is a fast energy pace, this is when you're going to do this. Things like that. So don't forget to look at your notes, that way you know when to hit the cue. In order for you to go from one cue to another, you're going to go ahead and click the play button. When you go ahead and click on that play button, it'll then transition to the next cue, and that's how you go from one cue to another. A really good thing that I recommend doing is listening to the song before you have to operate. When you listen to the song, you have a better understanding on which cue you have to hit. Understanding the song is an easier flow of light. An easier flow of light means a better enhancement to worship, an extension towards worship. And then mainly as well is to stay focused on top of things. If you're distracted by one thing and not focused on lighting, then you might have missed a critical thing that makes this song or the particular songs enhance a lot. But if you miss a cue, that might affect the atmosphere of the congregation and to the worship. And so that's why it's important to stay focused. And the last thing I would like to talk about is just some troubleshooting and emergency protocols just in case. If you click on the first green highlighted portion over here on your cue, it's going to select you to what's live right now. For some reason, let's say this over here was not lit up. If you click on it, it'll show you all the properties over here on your right side of the screen. So let's say it's turned off. And then you see on the stage that there's no light there, and you're not sure why. So what you're going to want to do is click on again. If it's not lit up, click on over here, and then you're going to go over to the intensity. The intensity turns the lights on and off, lowers or brightens, things like that. And so what you want to default it to is to 60. That way, whoever is on the stage is nicely lit for the congregation to see, but not too bright where it's going to blind them and make them super hot, because these lights can get really hot. And that's typically where you're going to see troubleshooting is if you see lights over here, such as your floor movers, you're going to see that they're on, but they shouldn't be on, or they don't seem like they should be on. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on this little back arrow button, or like some people like to call it the K, and you turn them off. So let's say they're at 50 right now and they're not in the right position and they shouldn't be on whatsoever. Go ahead and click on your back button or your K, and it'll slowly turn them off. Another thing to think about or to watch out for is when you're turning things on and off during a service, make sure over here where it says 2 seconds up in your top right, make sure it does say 2 seconds. Sometimes the programmer will leave it at 0. That way it's easier for them to program it and faster. But if we turn it on and off during, let's say, a slow atmospheric time, and it's lit and it shouldn't be lit, and you just turn it off, it's instantly going to turn it off. There will be no time for it to slowly dim down. So just be careful about this. This is another troubleshooting process. It should always be kept at 2 seconds unless you're changing the house lights. If you want to change the house lights, or go over down here to your second tab, which is house lights, and you'll see all these wonderful lights over here. It can be really bothersome having to click every one of them. So to make it easier on yourself, we have a house 1 button which turns on or selects all the house lights. So if we click on this, you will now see that all of them are nicely lit in yellow. Your next thing what you're going to want to do is go ahead and either preset it. Let's go over here to our number tab, and let's say I wanted to go to 10 instead of 2. So I will type in 10, click on the enter button or the return button on the keyboard, and it will then brighten it up to 10%. Typically we want to keep this at 2%, that way it's not too bad lit wise in the house room. That way it's nicely lit in the house, that way people coming in from the lobby can then see where people are and see where their family is or see where they want to sit. And then lastly what we're going to do is turn off Vista. So to properly do that, you can go ahead and go to File and Save Show. When you click on the Save Show, it'll say Weekend and Cue List, and you're just going to hit Enter or Return. If you try to hit the OK or Cancel, it actually won't do it because this little clock is in the way. So if you hit the Return button, it'll then be able to save the whole or the show, which is good. And then once that's done, you're going to go ahead and click on the X button. It'll say, are you sure you want to quit? Say yes. Sometimes what it'll also do is, are you sure you want to quit before saving? Also click yes onto save, just in case if something happened in the mix where it wasn't, or something didn't get saved properly. So you would go ahead and click on yes for that, and then it'll say, are you sure you want to quit? Click on the yes. Then it'll bring you back onto the desktop. The lights are then going to slowly dim off and turn off. Do not threat. You can always use a little pad in front of you next to the Apple computer where it has all the numbers on, and go ahead and click on the 1 button, and then it'll bring back lights again. Thank you for being part of DC3 Pro. I do hope that this video is going to be able to help you trying to understand your lighting or your position under the lighting director. Thank you again for being part of the Pro team, and I'll see you one of these weekends. Bye!